Okay, looks like we're getting there. Haven't fully checked Rumble, but YouTube, Facebook, you're going. Telegram, you're going. Let's just get ready to rumble here. Okay, looks like it. Let's just get ready to rumble here. Okay. So, welcome to Kirk's Law Corner, the creator of Kirk's Law Corner LLC, licensed in the state of Idaho to provide education, news, and other services. I'm also an Idaho Notary Public. A little history behind me is I've been through the fire, been drugged through CPS and all that good fancy stuff. So I was the child back in 1985 that was kidnapped by CPS, the state of Washington. So I know what it's like at 14 years old to have your family ripped apart by CPS and kept from my mother, with no real reason to do that. Fundamentally and principally, aren't we supposed to remove the criminal? We don't destroy the family, and we don't uproot the children's home. We're supposed to ensure the family unity is stayed together, even per their code. Title 4D, go read that. Everything they're supposed to do is to make sure and ensure that the family unit stays together and in the home. That's right. Anyways, so I got to experience that at 14 years old, so I know what that's like to be the kid, the child, whatever, the son. I prefer the word son, child is under parent, child, which is Perrine's patriarch. But common law is mother, father, son, daughter. So some of you already know this, that have followed me for years. Proper diction, jurisdiction, the words we use put us under a certain diction, juris, body of law. So, let me see if I can. Thank you, Dave, out there on Rumble, making sure that's all good. Thank you. Jameson, thanks for being there. So in 1990s there, 1994, I was an alcoholic when I basically came back from the Marine Corps, got myself in a little bit of trouble, in and out of jail, experienced the court system's corruption again, personally for myself. And so I vowed to God that I would start studying laws and learn how to defend myself, because I knew the corruption back then in 1994 was bad. It lied, threatened me. I didn't take the plea bargain, which, see, I had already proven that they didn't have probable cause, got the cop lying on the stand for the no proof of insurance ticket, was acquitted on that. So I'm very well aware of the corruption. I've experienced it. I've been through the fire. I've learned over the years, school hard knocks, essentially, how to start, fighting back and how to defend myself. And you got to do the paperwork. You can't just talk, right? You got to do the paperwork. You speak through your paperwork. So, since 1995, essentially, is when I started doing studying, right? And I started reading the code and reading the rules of procedure, and then part of the Constitution and this and that, and then, a few years back, 2009-ish, I started posting this stuff on Facebook. my personal profile, although I think at the time I only had about 56 friends. So it wasn't really, I mean, I was putting it out there to the general public, but it wasn't until October of 2017 that I started doing lives on Facebook. And about a year and a half before that, I was on Blog Talk Radio. So I've tried to educate my fellow man on real law, what it says as it is written, right?
Okay.
I mean,
let's
that's just what we're supposed to do, right? Try to educate our fellow man. But all right. Being through the fire, I've got this experience, and so I've tried to study and educate my fellow man. And when I ran into Chris there, we started working together. And at that time I knew the bar's it. Those no titles of nobility and the Esquire, Crown Temple Bar, London, Vatican, D.C., the Tri-City States. The Tri-City State, I should say. This has been in history for a long time. Okay, we're talking 4,000 years. This isn't something new. In my studies of history and reading this stuff, literally reading, because reading means reading. I found this perpetual state of emergency. I found a repeat of history of this code, and now I found it. It's the Roman civil law, the code. These are the Pandects, the Justinian deception, which is what brought about the Magna Carta of 1215, because somewhere around there in the beginning of 1100 is when they found all the old code, the old Pandects and stuff. So they started, oh yeah, this is great stuff. Let's do this. This is what our founders called bills of attainder, bills of pains and penalties. The code, right? We're back to this, and it came in 1881 again with the Code of Civil Procedure from statutory law of England, extending the High Court of Admiralty of England over here. This is where our founders talked about fundamentally altering our form of government, subjecting us to pretended acts of legislation. So this is what we're being subjected to, folks. These government de facto. It is not a legitimate government. It is a fraud by force. So what I'm going to go through tonight is I'm going to go through a couple of proclamations starting in 2017 with Trump. Okay, and I'm going to kind of lay this out so we all get a bigger picture of what's really been going on and kind of where we're at right now, which I think a lot of people are hungry for this. And I get it, which is probably why God's been calling me back to do lives. I've just been really, really busy with personal life, moving, remodeling our houses and moving family around. And then with my grandfather passing away. We just actually just buried him. It was Tuesday, last week. So it's been quite an adventure for me for the last 2 months. As it started June 2nd when we started doing the move and remodeling and remodeling and remodeling. And then more remodeling when the ceiling fell in my bedroom. Water damage in the ceiling there. So, I'm going to go through this stuff and lay this stuff out. A little bit at chunks at a time, pieces of the puzzle. Okay? So that we can grasp the concept of what's really been going on. Now let's hope this works. not that one. It'll be this one. Oh boy. He doesn't like that. And boy, does it really not like that. Now the question is how do I get it? Yeah. Boy, this is going to be fun. All right, so I'm going to have to obviously kill my camera. Oh, wait. Is it not going to let me screen share now? Without my camera? It should still let me screen share without video, right? Oh boy, I should have tried this earlier, huh? Okay. So I'm over here on the Federal Register, and I have quite a few of these downloaded already when they were coming out. So we're going to go back to kind of a beginning here so we can start with the beginning. The very first proclamation by Trump. This is proclaiming, right? National Day of Patriotic Devotion. Okay, this is proclamation number 9,570 of January 20th, 2017. This is straight out of the gate by Trump. Okay? It's a proclamation. A new national pride stirs the American soul and inspires the American heart. Key word, a new. Okay? We are one people, united by common destiny and shared purpose. Freedom is the birthright of all Americans. And to preserve that freedom, we must maintain faith in our sacred values and heritage. Our Constitution is written on parchment, but it lives in the hearts of the American people. There is no freedom where the people do not believe in it, nor law where the people do not follow it, and no peace where the people do not pray for it. There are no greater people than the American citizenry, and as long as we believe in ourselves and our country, there is nothing we cannot accomplish. And that's pretty much it, right? You're just proclaiming this here. President of the United States of America, by virtue of authority vested in the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim a National Day of Patriotic Devotion in order to strengthen our bonds to each other and to our country, and to renew the duties of government to the people. Okay? What's going on here? Seems quite interesting. Again, I'm laying out the pieces of the puzzle so that you all can see a bigger picture of this puzzle. Now, there's quite a few of them in here if you want to peruse this, right? There's a lot of stuff going on here. And this is just the 2017 stuff, and I'm just going to start here, and then I'll jump over to the executive orders to help put this picture together, this puzzle together. There was another one here before the other one. Law Day. What's this? May 1st, 2017. Today we celebrate Law Day, as we have since President Eisenhower first commemorated it in 1958, and reflected upon our great heritage of liberty, justice, and equality. Our founders risked their lives, fortunes, and sacred honor in defense of these values. More than 240 years ago, they set pen to paper and declared to the world that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The Declaration of Independence thus set our nation, not country, nation. America is the nation. Idaho is a country. Washington is a country. And I'm going to reiterate this again. Go look at the world map. Why is it everywhere else around the world, across the world, however you want to look at it, they're all independent countries on other continents, except for over here in North America. When we say the United States, we call them states. No. State is a state of being. The body politic, a nation state, as an independent, sovereign nation state, state of being. Being grateful to Almighty God for our liberty. So, anyways, the Declaration of Independence thus set our nation on its revolutionary and transformative path to protecting people's inherent individual rights and liberties from the tyranny of an elite few who might use the powers of the state to trample upon them. What's he saying there? He's openly admitting what the reason was. From tyranny of an elite few. Pay attention to this. To protect the values for which they fought, the framers of our Constitution created a government of limited and separated powers that enables the rule of law to prevail over the whims of government officials. See, we're supposed to be going by the rule of law, like maxims of law, what's been laid down, ordained, and established, because that's law. Enactments of the legislature or Congress, they are not law. To prevail over the whims of government officials. As the great Justice Antonin Scalia frequently observed, every dictatorship has a Bill of Rights. But paper rights alone will not preserve liberty. It is our Constitution's clear division of the sovereign's power, vesting the power to create laws in the Congress, the power to execute laws in the President, and the power to interpret laws in the independent judiciary, that enables us to remain free and in control of our government. Recognizing, as President Ronald Reagan did, that freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. Today we pay tribute to the government of laws and not of men. That forms the foundation of our freedom. Therefore, on this law day, we rededicate ourselves to the rule of law, to the separation of powers, in the words of President Abraham Lincoln's Gettysburg Address, to the preservation of, what is it? See, a lot of people get this phrase mixed up, but here it is. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. Now this is where we have to comprehend about changing your status. This is the status you want. One of the people. Because the people have all political power. The right to alter, reform, or abolish anything at any time we deem it necessary. So anybody trying to convince you that you need to change your status to a state national or some sort of a national, I'm going to expose that fraud, well, the truth, right? What a national is here in just a little bit. once we get through some of these executive orders. Okay? You want to be one of the people. We start off being free inhabitants. Man. In reading history, the original 1776 constitutions, and even some of the late 1600 stuff, constitutions. Yes, there were constitutions for America, not England. Right? We have American common law here starting in 1606 with the first Charter of Virginia. All right? So you had to own land, like 50 acres of land to qualify to be an elector. And you had to live that in that particular territory, that county or whatever, for I think it was a year with some of the original stuff. Okay? So that's it. You got to comprehend how to become one of the people. And do you qualify to be an elector, to be one of the people? Okay? As it is right now, I would go with, if you're a registered voter, essentially you've become one of the people. Because they've changed all that stuff through time. I'm not sure exactly where we're going to end up here shortly, but we're going to end up somewhere here shortly. I can guarantee you that. I promise you that. And I'm going to reiterate this again. I am man, creation of God. Can anybody out there rebut that? I do not need to change my status to anything. Plain and simple. It's super simple, folks. I am man, creation of God. There isn't a man on the face of this planet that can rebut that. Where's the evidence to support the claim that I am not a man, creation of God? Good luck. Okay. Now this is where things get really good. I mean, there's, oh yeah, National Maritime Day. That's a good one to go read. It's short, but I want to get to this other one because we're going to get back to that maritime law. We need to go clear up here to December. Should be right. Should have been right. Oh no, it's 12. Yeah, here's one. Recognizing Jerusalem as the capital of the state of Israel and relocating the United States Embassy to Israel to Jerusalem. I thought Israel was a country. Human Rights Day, Bill of Rights Day, and Human Rights Week. This is December 8th, 2017. Our great country was forged in the fires of a revolution to overthrow the rule of a tyrant by a free people who understood the fundamental truth that liberty is best secured when the state's power is carefully limited, from the Declaration of Independence to the Constitution and through the Bill of Rights. Our country and our people have always known the true God-given nature of liberty and the ability of law to safeguard it against the state. For 226 years, the final piece of this freedom-sustaining bulwark, the Bill of Rights, has formed the bedrock of the constitutional protections every American holds dear as their birthright. That's right. We don't need the 14th Amendment to make this apply to the states because these are rights. Rights are the law. Right? That to secure these rights, governments are... That's right. We lay down the law through declarations. Bills of rights are declarations. Black's Law Dictionary, 4th edition, law, that which is laid down, ordained, or established. Declarations, lay down the law. American Jurisprudence, Volume 16, Constitutional Law, Section 100. Bills of rights, plural, and those merely declaratory of the common law. That's right. When we're talking about this particular Bill of Rights, it's just merely declaratory of the common law. It's already the law. Hale versus Hinkle. Our rights are long antecedent to the formation of the state. That's right. Our rights have been around way longer than our government was ever created. Long before. But it has formed the bedrock of the Constitution of protections. We don't have constitutional rights. The Constitution is the instrument of government that the people create to protect, that to secure those rights. Governments are instituted, and it's a birthright. So, on Bill of Rights Day, we recognize the importance of the first 10 amendments to our Constitution to protecting our liberty and freedom against the inevitable encroachment of government. Our founding fathers understood the threat of expansive, omnipresent government. Yes, they most certainly did. From the beginning of our republic, we are not a democracy. We are a republic. We are not a representative democracy. We're not a representative republic. In fact, we are a capitalist, confederate republic. That would be that union. In order to form a more perfect union. Union is a league of friendship. A league of friendship is a confederacy. Articles of Confederation. That's right. We are a capitalism, which means you have the right to contract your labor as you see fit. That's capitalism. And we're a confederacy because we are a union of states. A league of friendship. Republic. Those are facts of law. And Mark out there on YouTube or wherever you're at right now can back me up on this. It's many times in the Federalist Papers. We are a confederacy, not a democracy. All right. So our founders understood that threat of this expansive and omnipresent government. From the beginning of our republic, therefore, they endeavored to enhance the Constitution with the Bill of Rights. Now, all throughout history, Bills of Rights came first, then the Constitution. This is the one time in history that they did the Bill of Rights after the Constitution, because, and we can go read about the debates on even making a Bill of Rights, because we already had all those rights. This was just supposed to create federalism, a federal part of the government, right? And delegate certain powers, which is one, for Congress to declare war. And what? Regulate foreign commerce. That is Federalist 45. Not interstate commerce, but foreign commerce between the states and between the Indian tribes. Again, that's extending that Admiralty jurisdiction beyond its ancient limits. But nonetheless, they want to claim Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3 is the Commerce Clause to regulate foreign and interstate commerce. It still would be the transportation of goods, manufacturing of goods for sale. Right? Those are that are acting in commerce. Not a man in the private, and literally in the private. Not having a business with an open sign and open doors, okay? Yes, it might be privately owned, but you're in the general public and you're inviting the general public in when you have an open sign. You're not in the private no longer. You're open to the public. If you want to stay in the private, Don't put up an open sign. So, enhance the Constitution with the Bill of Rights, a specific enumeration of fundamental rights that would prevail even against a future government inclined to abuse the power it has over the lives of citizens. Well, clearly that didn't work, did it? On June 8, 1789, James Madison, originally skeptical of the need for a Bill of Rights, introduced in the Congress several amendments to the Constitution that would eventually form the Bill of Rights. Now, originally there was, I believe it was 156 proposed articles, because they are not amendments. They are articles in addition to. Now, it's at the office right now, but I have a legitimate, verified certificate of authenticity of a copy of the Bill of Rights. And it specifically states in there, at the very top, which they hide from everybody, right? Because they don't want you to know, that it says that this is in addition to an amendment, not amendments, to the Constitution. And they are Article the 1st, Article the 2nd, Article the 3rd. They are, in fact, articles. The first legislative session for the territory of Idaho, 1864, lists them as Article 1 through 12. That's in 1864. So, during the ensuing debates, Madison told the Congress that because all power is subject to abuse, it was worth taking steps to ensure that such abuse may be guarded against in a more secure manner. Many of the rights set forth in the amendments Madison introduced that day are quite familiar to us as Americans. The right to worship as we please. The right to speak our minds and consciences. That's religion. The right of conscience. The right to firearms to protect ourselves and our loved ones. Yeah. Even clear back to the first Charter of Virginia of 1606. It specifically states in there that we all have the right to arms while out on adventure. That's a whole nother rabbit hole I can take you down. Because there's the argument, oh no, that only has to do with you being in the militia. No, it does not. That's a bar scheme. It's word salad. That's the bar trying to say, no, you guys don't have rights to keep and bear arms. No, Really? Since when does the government get to dictate to us what our rights are? Never. Not one iota. We never gave them the authority to dictate to us what our rights are. We dictate to them what our rights are. And they're the servants. We're the masters. At no time does a servant ever get to dictate to a master what his rights are and how we decide to claim and exercise those rights. I don't think so. That's why it's called a common law trespass, because our rights are the common law, the law that is common to all. It is a body of law, a lex non scripta, the unwritten law. So, the right to be free from unwarranted government searches and seizures. Gee, that sounds like Article the 4th. The right to a jury of our fellow citizens when accused of legal wrongdoing. Others, like the right to object to housing troops in our homes during peacetime, are often thought of as relics of a bygone era. Regardless of the familiarity and the applicability to our daily lives, however, each clause of the Bill of Rights addresses profound and real abuses the founders faced, and each is crafted and locked into law to protect us and future generations from their repetition. Now remember, this is December 8th, 2017. Right out of the gate, guys. Since its adoption, the reach of the Bill of Rights has spread far beyond America's shores. As George Washington rightly said, liberty, when it begins to take root, is a plant of rapid growth. For example, in the wake of the devastation of World War II, the spirit of the Bill of Rights inspired the United Nations General Assembly to adopt the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in 1948. Just like the Bill of Rights, the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is grounded in the recognition that just governments must respect the fundamental liberty and dignity of their people. Except for that's even a fraud, because our rights are bills of rights here, and every state has a Declaration of Rights, usually Article 1, laying down the law first, rights as the law, and then the Constitution is by far better than that Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Okay? And not only that, they didn't make, what was the first 26 articles or something like that, wasn't applicable to the United States unless you declared them. Well, I don't need their Universal Declaration of Human Rights, because rights are the law. Lex non scripta. My rights come from God, not from a Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We got the laws of nature here. We have the law of nations, international law. I'll show you that here in a little while. So, during Human Rights Day, Bill of Rights Day, and Human Rights Week, we rededicate ourselves to steadfastly and faithfully defining the Bill of Rights and human rights. Our God-given fundamental rights. They don't come from a piece of paper. Are soon overcome, if not safeguarded, by the people. That's what I keep trying to tell you folks. Okay? You have to learn. You have to have this knowledge. Without this knowledge, you don't have any power. We, therefore, also reflect upon the many individuals who are unable to enjoy the God-given rights that we as Americans know are secure. We remember those suffering under the yoke of authoritarianism and extremism for doing nothing more than standing up to injustice or daring to profess or practice their religion. And we acknowledge those imprisoned or in peril simply because of their political views or their sex. President United States, do hereby proclaim he has Human Rights Day, Human Bills Right Day, week, and the week beginning December 10th is Human Rights Week. Listen to what he's saying here. I call upon the people of the United States to mark this observance with appropriate ceremonies and activities. How many of you during Human Rights Week have had any kind of appropriate ceremonies or activities regarding your rights? Your God-given rights? I doubt any. All right. Now, you know, I'm going to have to go back here. I don't know why it didn't do the poor Telegram. People can't even make comments. I thought it did. But it did earlier. Should show. Okay, so I created that there, just on Telegram, the KLC Media Group, so I can watch your comments there. And again, I'm having a hard time reading what I need to read here and reiterate and watch comments too. So it'll be what it is. Okay, now back over here. So now we can grasp the concept of what's going on right in the very beginning of 2017, or towards the end of 2017, but in the beginning of Trump's administration. Now we're going to go over here to some executive orders. Now first I'm going to explain what an executive order is. So this is military. In the military they give orders. And the executive is the military as commander-in-chief of the Army and the Navy. So as commander-in-chief he gives orders, also known as executive orders. Now, we're going to have to go all the way back down here because 13818. Oh. Why did it stop there? Oh, because I started with 2018. Let me go back here. Eight is where we want to be. All right, so I mean, there's lots of stuff to read, but right here is where it really kicked in, and notice the date. Okay, we're talking December 20th. What were we just looking at over here? December 8th. Now keep in mind what we just discussed here in Human Rights Day, Bill of Rights Day, and Human Rights Week. And then you'll understand this executive order. To execute the law as a military order by the authority vested in me as President, by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the National Emergencies Act, the Global Magnitsky Human Rights Accountability Act. Now remember, these are all created by the legislature or Congress. So Trump's not making law. He's ordering the execution of the law that's already created. And he's citing the law right here he's acting under. Okay? I, Donald J. Trump, President of the United States of America, find that the prevalence and severity of human rights abuse and corruption that have their source, in whole or in substantial part, outside the United States, such as those committed or directed by persons listed in the annex to this order, have reached such scope and gravity they have threatened the stability of international political and economical systems. Human rights abuse and corruptions undermine the values that form an essential foundation of stable, secure, and functioning societies. This is a worldwide executive order. This is December 20th, 2017. Are you picking up what I'm laying down here, folks? If they're involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption, worldwide, they're in deep doo-doo. Okay? I therefore determine that serious human rights abuse and corruption around the world constitute an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security, foreign policy, and economy of the United States, and I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with that threat. Okay. So again, are we picking up what we're being laid down here? This is war. World war. Going after the bad guys. Worldwide. Human rights abuse, corruption undermine the values of an essential foundation of a stable, secure, and functioning society. Have devastating impacts on individuals. Weaken democratic institutions, right? We're talking about democracies over there. Degrade the rule of law. Perpetuate violent conflicts. Facilitate the activities of dangerous persons and undermine economic markets. The United States seeks to impose tangible and significant consequences on those who commit serious human rights abuse or engage in corruption, as well as to protect the financial system. Remember, London, Vatican, and D.C. are foreign to us. And that would be the money. You know, the birth certificate, third and final bankruptcy of 1933, where they took all the gold, the private land, and the public land, held in trust. Yep. That's human trafficking part B, folks. From abuse by these same persons. Now we're going to get into, that was the end of 2017, so now we got to go to 18. We need to go to around March. Protecting America through lawful detention of terrorists. Here we go. This is a good one. Executive Order 13825 of March 1st, 2018. By the authority vested in me as President of the Constitution and laws of the United States, blah, blah, blah. Title 10. Okay. In order to prescribe amendments to the what? Manual for Courts Martial. Under the Uniform Code of Military Justice. Prescribed by Executive Order 12473 of April 13th, 1984. That's right. He dug up the executive order from 1984 because this is the power that belongs to the president. Okay? As amended is hereby ordered as follows. Again, ordered as follows. These certain parts of the Manual for Courts Martial of the United States are amended and described in Annex 1, which is attached to and made a part of this order. The amendments in Annex 1 shall take effect on the date of this order, subject to the following. Nothing in Annex 1 shall be construed to make punishable any act done or omitted prior to the date of this order that was not punishable when done or omitted. Now, what was actually brought back here? The death penalty for treason. You see, in 1984, they made that alteration amendment back then to protect themselves. In case anything like this were to ever happen, and they got caught, they couldn't be executed death by firing squad. Because that's how they're supposed to be executed under court martials. All public servants who are bound by the Constitution are pursuant to Article 6, Clause 3. Read it. Members are bound. If you're from the legislative, executive, or judicial branch, either state or federal, it doesn't matter. It's what it says. You shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. They are bound by Admiralty jurisdiction. Right? The governor is what? Commander-in-chief? Under the president. Lieutenant. These are military terms, folks. Article 3, Section 2. Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. But this is Admiralty jurisdiction. They're the ones that are bound by this. For treason, be sentenced to death. Now, what are they saying? Oh, because this would be ex post facto. So they're even looking, they're looking at everything. Again, this is March 1st of 2018. Okay. And this is what it's talking about. Shall be construed to make punishable any act done or omitted prior to the date of this order that was not punishable when done or omitted. Okay. Nothing in Annex 1 shall be construed to invalidate the prosecution of any offense committed before the date of this order. The maximum punishment for an offense committed before the date of this order shall not exceed the maximum punishment in effect at the time of the commission of such offense. So a lot of this stuff they're getting away with because, well, they got a slap on the wrist. But, as we'll see here in just a little bit, the date of actual. Pursuant to Sections 5542 of the Military Justice Act of 2016, Division E of the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2017, public law, except as otherwise provided in the MJ's order, the MJ shall take effect on what? January 1st of 2019. All of this, all of the changes came effective January 1st, 2019. This is when they started crapping their pants, when they knew after January 1st, 2019, it was on. This is when Trump made the amendments. Death by firing squad. And a whole lot more. This is activating the military. Uniform Code of Military Justice and the Manual for Courts Martial. We go under the Law of War Manual, the Limbo Code from 1863, the first executive order. Okay? There's the Manual for Courts Martial as amended, blah, 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 blah. Everything becomes effective January 1st, 2019. That was essentially the D-Day. So any crimes that they committed after January 1st, 2019, well now, that's serious business. So this is the key to all of this, tying these pieces of the puzzle together. This is a military operation. And like I said yesterday, look, if you're not in the military, you're not going to get this, but hurry up and wait. Okay? Marine Corps motto, hurry up and wait, hurry up and wait. We're not told anything about what's going on or what we're doing until after we're assembled and it's like it's ready to go. So you're not going to know, in the military, you're not going to know until it's time to go. And if you're not in the military and you're not part of that, you're not in the circle of need to know. So those asking for proof of all this stuff happening, you're not going to get it. You're not entitled to that. And again, I know that's a big, huge pill to swallow for some people. But that's the reality. You're not in the need to know. And neither am I. So I'm not trying to claim that I'm in that need to know either. I just read this stuff when they came out. I listened to what Trump said. I'm like, okay, I'm picking up on what he was laying down then. Okay? This is what's going on, folks. This is a military op. Now, there's a lot of stuff in here, okay? Oh, let's see. I can find prohibiting certain additional transactions with respect to Venezuela. Okay, there was all sorts of things going on, right? Worldwide. Looking for here we go. Executive Order 13844. Establishment of the Task Force on Market Integrity and Consumer Fraud. It's July 11th, 2018. The authority vested in me and President by the Constitution and the laws of the United States in order to strengthen the efforts of the Department of Justice and federal, state, local, and tribal agencies to investigate and prosecute crimes of fraud committed against the U.S. government or the American people, recover the proceeds of such crimes, and ensure just and effective punishment of those who perpetrate crimes of fraud, is hereby ordered as follows. Section 1. Establishment. The Attorney General shall establish within the Department of Justice a task force on market integrity and consumer fraud. Task force. All right. This is creating something new. Okay? Now I'm going to bring in a little hint here. Article 4, Section 4. The United States shall guarantee to every state in this union a republican form of government. We are not a democracy. And shall protect each of them against invasion. Now listen carefully, folks, because this is a right. The right to a republican form of government. And on application of the legislature or of the executive, when the legislature cannot be convened, against domestic violence. It does not say judicial branch. Just like our right to redress petition, the legislature for the redress of grievances. We go to the legislature, not the judicial branch. And in fact, let's read a little history behind this, shall we? Let's see an explanation from the annotated Constitution. Historical background. I always call it hysterical background. It's frickin' hysterical. The first clause of this section is somewhat different language, was contained in the Virginia Plan, introduced in the convention, and was obviously attributed to Madison. Through the various permeations into its final form, the object of the clause seems clearly to have been more than an authorization of the federal government to protect states against what? Foreign invasion or internal insurrection. That's what domestic violence is internal. When the public servants are corrupted, that's internal insurrection. An attempt to overthrow the Constitution and war against the people. Because remember, the Constitution is the law of creation for government. It creates those emoluments of offices. It creates the governor, it creates the president, it creates the lieutenant governor, it creates the secretary of state, it creates all of these different public servant positions known as emoluments. Any advantage, profit, or gain received due to one's position of employment or holding of office. So whether you're elected into a public servant position or you're appointed into a position of public trust, it doesn't matter. It's internal insurrection is what domestic violence is. Has nothing to do with domestic relations as a subject matter, which no part of government has subject matter jurisdiction, nor personal jurisdiction over man, husband, wife, mother, father, son, or daughter. None. Has nothing to do with family law. The Violence Against Women Act of 1994 was already found to be unconstitutional in 2000. U.S. versus Morrison. Oh, but in 2005, Congress reauthorized the Violence Against Women Act. How does the Congress reauthorize something that's been declared unconstitutional? That's internal insurrection. That's domestic violence. And the fact that they created the Violence Against Women Act is in fact internal insurrection. It is domestic violence. A power seemingly already conferred in any case. No one can now resurrect the full meaning of the clause, and intent which moved the framers to adopt it, but with the exception of the reliance of a brief period during Reconstruction, the authority contained within the confines of the clause has been largely unexplored. Well, of course, these bar members don't want to put the truth out here, but only about the Reconstruction era. Huh. Not the Revolutionary era? This is 1871 era. BS. So, more on from the annotated Constitution about the guarantee of Republican form of government. This is the doctrine and practice. Pay attention. In Luther versus Borden, the Supreme Court established the doctrine that questions arising under this section are political, not judicial in character, and that it rests with Congress to decide what government is established in a state, as well as its republican character. This is a political argument, a political lawsuit, not a judicial one. And on application of the legislature or the executive, if the legislature can't be convened, who do you think the executive is we're talking about in Article 4, Section 4? Well, let's continue reading. In Texas v. White, held that the action of the president in setting up provisional governments at the conclusion of the war was justified, if at all, only as an exercise of his powers as what? Commander-in-Chief, and that such governments were to be regarded merely as provisional regimes to perform the functions of government, pending actions by Congress. On the ground that the issues were not justiciable, the court in the early part of the century refused to pass on a number of challenges to state governmental reforms, and thus made the clause in effect non-cognizable by the courts in any matter. You just can't get it any more clear than that. It is not cognizable by the judicial branch. None of them. And this is the power that belongs to the president as commander-in-chief, setting up what? Provisional government. The establishment. It sounds all fancy, market integrity and consumer fraud, but what we're talking about is human trafficking. Because watch. What is it he created here? The task force shall include the following members. There's that word again, members. The Deputy Attorney General, who shall serve as the chair. The Associate Attorney General, who shall serve as the vice chair. The Assistant Attorney General, Criminal Division. The Assistant Attorney General, Civil Division. The Assistant Attorney General, Tax Division. The Assistant Attorney General, Antitrust Division. Okay, you got the Director of Federal Bureau of Investigation, United States Attorneys, designated by the Attorney General. Such other officers or employees of the Department of Justice as the Attorney General may from time to time designate. This is new. This is a creation by Trump. Setting up provisional government. This is what Trump has put in place for us to report crimes to. Now, this is part of what Chris and I were talking about, emoluments violations. Article 1, Section 9, Clause 8. These are foreign emoluments. We can't pay these public servants to trespass the law. Right? Like I've said many times before. Go to work at McDonald's and tell the boss there that you're not going to make French fries today. You're going to go outside and play around on your phone. How long are you going to still work at McDonald's? Not very long. You're going to get fired. Because they're not going to pay you to stand outside playing around on your phone when they've hired you to make French fries. So when we hire these public servants and we pay them through taxpayer dollars, that is consumer fraud. They are receiving payments that they are not entitled to keep. Because we can't pay them to trespass the law, our rights as the law. Due process of law is a right. Comes from the common law. All right. So this has been put in place for us to use. And yes, it's been used. Now, there's a couple people out there having a hard time finding it, but somebody did find the actual, when we brought up this executive order and said, well, where is this at? Oh, that's over here. But I'll tell you, somebody helped out of Ohio. 5 days later, two public servants were arrested. 5 days later. Okay? Helped some people out of California actually do an A091 form and took it in there, and I equipped them with knowledge. And you're gonna run into gatekeepers. That's a given, because they don't want us tearing them down. They don't want us removing these bad actors and prosecuting them in military tribunals, because they might end up with a death sentence for treason. And nonetheless, you're going to run into these, what I call gatekeepers, right? They got the keys to the gate, and they think that they can keep you from getting through the gate to seeking justice and telling on them. Because essentially that's what this is, right? I mean, this is what we were all taught in grade school, to go tell on them. We're not supposed to resort to violence. In fact, it's a fundamental principle of our republic, and the Virginia Declaration of Rights is the theoretical foundation of all government. That's the document that declares Christianity as our theoretical foundation of all government, our ideology. Well, that's Virginia. Well, you don't comprehend. The territory of Virginia was quite large. All of those different colonies were within the territory of Virginia, starting clear back in 1606. Yeah, that'd be before 1620, where they like to start teaching us history with the Mayflower. But if you read the Mayflower Compact, which is pretty short, and in short, oh, we fall under Virginia and thankful to Virginia and da-da-da-da-da. That's right. Virginia was first. It encompassed 7 of the what we would call states now in the territory of Virginia. Those colonies, Virginia had to cede the land, and this was done at a what? Continental Congress. Continental. They met in Philadelphia. So there's 4 documents that all go together. We have the Lee's resolutions, which I can show that to you real quick. It's easy. This is the document that separates us from Great Britain, not the Declaration of Independence. Resolution introduced in the Continental Congress by Richard Henry Lee, Virginia, proposing a Declaration of Independence, June 7, 1776, resolved that these united colonies are, and of right ought to be, free and independent states, that they are absolved from all allegiance to the British Crown, and that all political connection between them and the state of Great Britain is and ought to be totally dissolved. June 7th, 1776. That it is expedient further to take the most effectual measures for forming foreign alliances, that a plan of confederation be prepared and transmitted to the respective colonies for their consideration and approbation. Okay, now, we look at what this is. Well, the source is the documents illustrative of the formation of the Union of the American States, Government Printing Office, 1927, House Document Number 398, selected, arranged, and indexed by Charles C. Tanzel. Now, I got the ones from Thorpe, and I can show you those, because I got the whole history, folks, a lot. But see, they don't want us to know the true history of these documents. Now, look, here's the Constitution of Virginia, June 29, 1776. But before I click on that, because they took it down from here. They don't want us to read that Constitution, because that's the Constitution that creates our distinct and separate three branches of government, and is in fact the first Constitution under the new nation called America. Now, there's the draft Constitution for Virginia. They show that one. But I have it in my Annals of America book. I also have it in the, from Thorpe, the same thing there from Tanzel. Aha, here we go. June 12, 1776. And they've even altered this one here on Avalon. And now they've removed 7S Thorpe from its source. And the reason why they've removed it from Avalon as the source of 7S Thorpe is because they've altered Section 13, Article 13. That in all capital criminal process a man hath the right to demand. See, it's a man, not a person. Persons are fictions. A man hath the right to demand the cause and nature of his accusation, to be confronted with the accusers and witnesses, to call for evidence in his favor, and to a speedy trial by an impartial jury of his vicinage. Now, what they've removed from there is an impartial jury of 12 men of his vicinage. Now, here's the key. Without whose unanimous consent he cannot be found guilty. This is the beyond a reasonable doubt standard. There is no such thing as a hung jury. The moving party has to get consent from all 12 men. If one out of that 12 says, you know, I'm just not quite convinced, that is an acquittal. They didn't meet the standard of the right that dictates you gotta have unanimous consent. Again, there is no such thing as a hung jury. You cannot be tried twice for the same thing. You get one chance at trial. That's it. Oh, wait, the right to keep and bear arms? That a well-regulated militia composed of the body of the people trained to arms is the proper, natural, and safe defense of a free state. Free state of being. that standing armies in times of peace should be avoided as dangerous to liberty, and that in all cases the military should be under strict subordination to and be governed by the civil power. Now, that's where we get into the merchant marines, the civil power, the people. The civil power. Outside of government comes before. The merchant marines have been around since mid-1500s, long before our government was created. That religion, or the duty which we owe to our Creator in the manner of discharging it, can be directed by reason and conviction, not by force or violence, and therefore all men are equally entitled to the free exercise of religion. Pay attention here. According to the dictates of conscience, and that it is the mutual duty of all to practice Christian forbearance, love, and charity towards each other. Adopted unanimously June 12, 1776, Virginia Convention of Delegates, drafted by Mr. George Mason. But this was at the Continental Congress Convention. So, now that we can comprehend this a little bit more about how the power of the president, right? We got Luther versus Borden and Texas v. White under Article 4, Section 4, just like Trump, or actually it was Attorney General Barr that stated, it's like, look, the president's going to start exercising powers that properly belong to the executive branch, and neither Congress nor the judicial branch have a say in the matter. In other words, Attorney General Barr just said, kick rocks, Congress, Nancy Pelosi and all those rest of them, and don't even think about trying to go to the judicial branch, because the judicial branch doesn't have a say. It's non-cognitive by the courts. This is military. Okay? So this is the bigger picture, right? Of what's been going on. And there's more, right? I want to get into the human trafficking one. I impose certain sanctions with respect to Iran. Certain sanctions in the United States election. Oh, wait. This is the one that's kind of being brought up and talked about now. Derek Johnson out there talking about this. This is where I'm going to show you about a national. Are you ready? This is, again, all of this stuff I've put out before, years ago when this stuff was coming out. Okay? For those of you that followed me from the inception, might remember some of this stuff. Because that's the part that I did. I did the law stuff. Chris did the loss prevention, the E-Clause stuff, and I did the law stuff. So, this is where he's talking about, well, this is under maritime law. I'm going to show you how it is, which also goes right back to the Executive Order 13818, worldwide executive order. But that's what this one is too. Okay. Find the ability of persons located in whole or substantial part outside the United States to interfere in or undermine public confidence in the United States elections, including through the unauthorized accessing of election and campaign infrastructure, or the covert distribution of propaganda and disinformation, constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. Huh. Sound familiar from Executive Order 1838? This part here constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat to the national security and foreign policy of the United States. Although there has been no evidence of a foreign power altering the outcome or vote tabulation in any United States election, foreign powers have historically sought to exploit America's free and open political system. Now, so what he's admitting here is that, well, there's no real evidence, right, of foreign interference. Oh, but there is. Oh, but there is. All of our elections have been predetermined. Just in case you didn't know that one. In recent years, the proliferation of digital devices and internet-based communications has created significant vulnerabilities and magnified the scope and intensity of the threat of foreign interference, as illustrated in the 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment. Oh, this was done by somebody else, not Trump. I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with this threat. Accordingly, I hereby order, not later than 45 days after the conclusion of the United States election, the Director of National Intelligence, and consulting with the heads of any other appropriate executive departments and agencies, shall conduct an assessment of any information indicating that a foreign government or any person acting as an agent of or on behalf of a foreign government has acted with the intent or purpose of interfering in that election. The assessment shall identify, to the maximum extent ascertainable, the nature, the cause and nature, the nature of any foreign interference and any methods employed to execute it, the persons involved, and the foreign government or governments that authorized, directed, sponsored, or supported it. The Director of National Intelligence shall deliver this assessment and appropriate supporting information to the President, Secretary of State, the Secretary of Treasury, Secretary of Defense, the Attorney General, and the Secretary of Homeland Security. 45 days. Why did he do 45? President. 45th President. What a number to put out there. Within 45 days of receiving the assessment and information described in Section 1A of this order, the Attorney General, Secretary of Homeland Security, in consulting with the heads of any of the appropriate agencies and the appropriate state and local officials, shall deliver to the President, Secretary of State, the Secretary of Treasury, the Secretary of Defense, a report evaluating, with respect to the United States election, that is the subject of the assessment described in Section 1A. Now, here we go. The extent to which any foreign interference that targeted election infrastructure materially affected the security integrity of that infrastructure, the tabulation of votes, or the timely transmission of election results. If any foreign interference involved activities targeting the infrastructure of or pertaining to a political organization, campaign, or candidate, the extent to which such activities materially affect the security or integrity of that infrastructure, including by unauthorized access to, disclosure or threatened disclosure of, or alteration or falsification of information or data. Like they said, we already have it all. They already have it all. Again, did we forget about the NSA? All right. Well, we know. Now, this is foreign interference in a federal election. To have directly or indirectly engaged in, sponsored, concealed, or otherwise been complicit in foreign interference in a United States election. To have materially assisted, sponsored, or provided financial material or or technological support for, or goods or services to, or in support of any activity described in section AI of this section, or any person whose property or interest in the property blocked pursuant to this order. Again, civil asset forfeiture, seizing their property. I mean, that's pretty much what we need to comprehend here. I thought it said, because I remember reading this before, and it said foreign interference in a federal election. So, anyway, so we're going to jump over here and figure out this maritime thing, right? We go over here to Title 1. Oh, wait. Where is it? Should have been. Or no. Was it Title 18? Yep. Okay. Title 18, United States Code. This is crimes, right? These are general provisions. Now, special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States defined. You ready? The term special maritime and territorial jurisdiction of the United States as used in this title includes the high seas, any other waters within Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States and out of the jurisdiction of any particular state. And any vessel belonging to a whole citizen thereof, or to any corporation created by or under the laws of the United States, or of any state, territory, district, or possession thereof, when such vessel is within the Admiralty and maritime jurisdiction of the United States and out of the jurisdiction of any particular state. Any vessel, registered, licensed, blah, 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 blah. Any lands reserved, da, 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 da. Any island, any aircraft, any vehicle, any place outside the jurisdiction of any nation with respect to an offense by or against a national of the United States. Okay. There's your word, national of the United States. Now I'm going to have to go back myself and take a look, because I posted this a while ago. I think it was back to Title 10. I should have already brought that stuff up, but oh well. Because I shared this a little while ago. I went down the rabbit hole and did the research, right? Because that's the kind of guy I am, kind of man that I am. I go and do the research. Should be right. There we go. Okay, it was 8. 8 USC. Okay, so now that we understand maritime jurisdiction here, any place outside the jurisdiction of any nation called America with respect to an offense by or against a national. Trump is a national, right? Because what's the definition of a national? We're going to go over here to Title 8. 1101. Definitions. Alien means any person not a citizen or national of the United States. Citizen. Where was it? 21. The term national means a person owing permanent allegiance to a state. The term national of the United States means a citizen of the United States, or B, a person who, though not a citizen of the United States, owes permanent allegiance to the United States. So you're automatically become a national when you're elected, becoming a citizen. Okay, you can't change your status to a citizen. It's an automatic thing when you become an elected official, a citizen. Citizens are those that are members who are bound. I know the 14th Amendment converted everybody into a citizen. No, that's how they enslaved us all, and that's all fraud. No, we have free inhabitants. We have the people. Aww. And then we have citizens. Those are the statuses here in America. Now, once you become elected, right? Flag. You become a citizen because you're become a member of the legislative, executive, or judicial branch, and you shall be bound by oath or affirmation to support this Constitution. Then you become a national. But you cannot directly change your status. Well, I'm a national. No, you're an idiot. Hate to be the bearer of bad news. Right, Diesel D's. Mike Rose should do a dirty job show on me. Yeah, it's a tough one, and somebody's got to do it. Well, let's see. Let's pull that up. Shall we? Shall we do that? Where? We'll pull up the Law of Nations. Now, I want to make this clear here because the Law of Nations is international law, right? The Law of Nations. Natural law and enlightenment classics, And I think actually this is the annotated one, but written by Emmer D. Vattel. Now our founders wrote from this because this is international law. The Law of Nations, or Principles of the Law of Nature, applied to the conduct and affairs of nations and sovereigns, with 3 early essays on the origin and nature of natural law and on luxury. That is the title of this book. Short title, Law of Nations, yes. But that is the full title. And yeah, I have the older version. But he started writing in 1714 and ended in 1767, the third book. Okay? Actually, fourth. Well, I don't know if he wrote the fourth book. Might have been added. I can't remember. But see, notice the timeline. 1767 when he finished. Huh. Yep, see right here. Full title. So the law of nations are the principles of laws of nature. The law of nature. 1. International law. Or international law. What are we at right now? We're at war. World war. And yes, we've been at war, technically speaking, since 1863. With the Limbo Code, the first executive order. Okay? Who have we been at war with? England, our declared enemy. Yeah. The Civil War was about slavery, all right, about enslaving us all. For those who are not aware, Congress, by Congressional Act in 1845, extended Admiralty jurisdiction on the land again, beyond its ancient limits. In the Declaration for the Causes and Necessity of Taking Up Arms, July 6, 1775, extending Admiralty and Vice Admiralty jurisdiction beyond its ancient limits. Again, 1775, and they're talking about ancient limits of Admiralty and Vice Admiralty jurisdiction. Again, in history, this is not the first time they've done this worldwide. But we're going to go down here to Book 1, Chapter 19, Subsection 212. We're going to read the definition of a citizen under international law. Now remember, our founders pulled from this and created, that's right, created a one-of-a-kind form of government. So some things are a little bit different. You got vagrants, right? Huh, 213, there's the inhabitants. But here's 212, citizens and natives. This is also where the definition from the Constitution where it talks about that the president must be a natural-born citizen. This is where they reference that definition comes from. Vattel. This is it. This is the source of law from the Constitution. Where they got it from, the verbiage of natural-born citizens. The citizens are members of the civil society bound to this society by certain duties and subject to its authority. If you're not bound by the Constitution, you're not subject to the authority of the Constitution and anything that's created under it. That's a fact, because that's all color of law made by man. We go by the rule of law. There's no further bond among men than an oath. It's a maxim of law. But the key words here are members and bound. Okay? So when we go over here, I'm going to leave that for a second. We'll start another one. When we go to Article 6, Clause 3, what does that say? The senators and representatives before mentioned and the members of the several state legislatures and all executive and judicial officers, both of the United States and of the several states, shall be bound by oath or affirmation. Those are the citizens to support this Constitution. If you're not a member of one of the three branches of government and you're not bound by this Constitution, none of it applies to you. Oh, but that's some sovereign citizens. There's no such thing as a sovereign citizen. Man is sovereign because God is the sovereign, and God created mankind, and God gave mankind dominion over the land, the air, and the water. That's Genesis 1:26 through 28. Now, when we're talking about the sovereign means that you're a creator. So when we're talking about the state, is the sovereign body of people, right? The people. Politic. The power to make policy. Not police. It's pronounced policy. Okay? So now we can comprehend who the servants are, citizens are. They're the servants. Public servants. In the public. That's why it suits in law. And in equity, having an equitable interest in the land, pursuant to Article 3, Section 2. What it says as it is written. Nowhere does it say common law. No. Common law is the people in the private, suits between man and man. They equally participate in its advantages. Oh, wait. Would that be that emolument? Any advantage, profit, or gain received due to one's position, employment, or holding of office? Yes. The natives or natural-born citizens are those born in the country. Oh, which country? When you do a birth certificate, it's from what they call a state. It's because that's a country. Of parents who are citizens. Now see, this is where I know things get a little confused, because it's going to get it cleared up here in section 213. As a society cannot exist and perpetuate itself otherwise than by the children of the citizens. Those children naturally follow the condition of their fathers. This is the laws of nature, fundamentally and principally. And succeed to all their rights comes from their father. The society is supposed to desire this in consequence of what it owes to its own preservation. We're supposed to go, hey, if you're going to be the president of this place, you better be a natural-born citizen, which means both of the parents had to have been born here. So if you immigrate here, it's going to take 2 generations before you can become a natural-born citizen. The country of the fathers is therefore that of the children, and these become true citizens merely by their tacit consent. We shall soon see whether, on their coming to the years of discretion, they may renounce their right and what they owe to the society in which they were born. I say that in order to be of the country, it is necessary that a person be born of a father who is a citizen, for if he is born there of a foreigner, it will be only the place of his birth and not his country. Now this is where our founders went, oh, okay, but we want the free inhabitants to be citizens as well, if we read the Articles of Confederation. The inhabitants, as distinguished from citizens, are foreigners who are permitted to settle and stay in the country. Bound to the society by their residence, they are subject to the laws of the state while they reside in it, and they are obliged to defend it, because it grants them protection, though they do not participate in all the rights of citizens. They enjoy only the advantages which the law or custom gives them. The perpetual inhabitants are those who have received the right of perpetual residence. These are a kind of citizens of an inferior order, and are united to the society without participating in all its advantages. Their children follow the condition of their fathers, and as the state has given to these the right of perpetual residence, the right passes to their posterity. So this is where our founders went, oh, okay. So we have free inhabitants, we have the people, and we have citizens. The citizens are the public servants that are bound by the Constitution, and we're demanding specific performance, duties to perform. They have to discharge the duties of that office, the emoluments of that office. The people are a different kind of a citizen. That's the lowercase c citizen, not a proper noun, uppercase c, citizen, civil servant, city servant. Okay? So remember, our founders wrote from this. They knew this. They read this. They already knew all this stuff, right? Because that's what they did back then. They knew the law. Because ignorance of the law is no excuse. None. You don't have to go to law school to learn the law. You're supposed to know it. So, even in the Articles of Confederation, it talks about the free inhabitants and free citizens. Right? Free people, free men. Yeah. We're going to go back. Keep going on this executive orders because there's all sorts of executive orders here. The military on the move, blocking the property in Nicaragua, Venezuela. Venezuela was a big one. Providing for the closing of executive departments and agencies of the federal government December 5th. That was for Christmas. That one was for Christmas. I'm trying to find the one about, and I may have to go to my own. Oh no. Don't tell me I lost that one. One about the assassination of Kennedy. Promoting the rule of law, promoting the rule of law. Combat terrorism. Oh, establishing the National Quantum Initiative Advisory Committee. Quantum banking. Quantum everything. Because this one is the one about Kennedy, the assassination. They were supposed to come out. They were several times they were supposed to have been releasing this to the public, you know, declassifying what happened with Kennedy's assassination. And Trump put it out to the heads of the executive departments. And I swear that was in 2018. Taking additional steps to address the national emergency with respect to significant transnational criminal organizations. Lots of military type stuff going on for a long time. Supporting the transition of active duty service members and military veterans into the Merchant Marine. That's the civil power. Just saying. That was it for 2018. Or 2019. Yeah, I guess so. I must have missed it. I swear I had it. I know I do. I may have just got it in. I know I have it. Yeah, maybe not. Somewhere. I seriously think it was 2018. I just missed it. Anyway, so yeah, it's in there in here somewhere that he made it that they had to release it to the heads of executive department. The truth, right? The truth behind the assassination of President John F. Kennedy. And yeah, we all kind of grasp the concept of what's all going on there with who was all involved with that and who was executed already, or I mean, died or whatever. Yeah, it's not in 2008. Maybe it was 2017. I know, I'm pretty sure. But for those of you who are in the know about that, why Kennedy was assassinated, that was put out to all the heads of the executive departments nationwide. And again, releasing the information or the significant portion of the information to the heads of states, heads of executive departments. Man, I don't know. I'll have to find that one again. I swear that I've had that one before, and I don't know where it's at. Should have been in one of these two folders, but unless I didn't get it into a folder. Ooh, maybe. Negative. Anyways, I wish I would have had that one. I figured it'd be right here in this list right here, but so this is part of the pieces of the puzzle that we need to comprehend, that this is how do I stop this darn thing? Oh, there it is. Understanding how the military is supposed to work here, and everything that I just laid out, just as those few breadcrumbs, right? But those are serious indicators of what Trump put in place and executed and what's going on. Now, yeah, right? We're right at the 2-hour mark. How about that? Okay. Let me see if I can look at some comments. Let me see if any like major questions. Pretty young and I never remember where he was on that day. Yeah, I know that I've showed that executive order on releasing the stuff about JFK to the heads of the executive departments. I believe it's in my educational series. So, we're just going to go with it for now. Yeah, I know. October 26th, 2017, huh? Let me see if I can... October 26th, it should have been there, right? No, let's see. Memorandum. That's going to be different. Thought it was an executive order. Well, anyways, so hope you all enjoyed the little tidbit tonight. Hope that puts things in perspective of what's going on worldwide. People are being rounded up. They're being arrested. Some of them are being executed, right? This is happening and has been happening for quite a few years. Just because you're not aware of it doesn't mean that it hasn't been happening. This is a military op. Oh, and I suppose I should that back over there. It has been going on. Lots of arrests. You know, Guantanamo Bay. How many people realize how much construction happened down there? They built lots of new buildings to house lots of people. Wonder why they did that. Lots of new buildings. Let me see if we got something here. Maybe. So, just so everybody's aware now that getting this up and going, I am on Rumble and Telegram, and technically speaking, broadcasting right now on all four platforms: Telegram, Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. All four platforms are being broadcasted live right now. So, you can watch from wherever you want to watch at this particular point. Rumble, YouTube, Facebook, or Telegram. Now, I highly recommend getting on Telegram if you're not already. Put a lot of stuff out there on Telegram. And let me see if I can... Boy, this is going to be fun to dump this all over the place. Okay, so Facebook, you get it first. This is my Telegram channel. It's in the comment section. And I'll put it over here in the comment section on Rumble. And then I'll put it over here on the YouTube. What do you mean? Oh boy, oh boy. How do we get there? Aha. Okay, so there's the Telegram. Yeah. The Rumble one, that's a hard one to try and get. But it's Kirk's Law Corner on Rumble. And don't forget kirkslawcorner.com, my website. Now there's lots of unsealed indictments, right? There were lots of sealed indictments. Now there's lots of unsealed indictments. They've been rounding them up for years, guys. Make no mistake. So this is what's been going on worldwide since December 20th of 2017. those involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption. They've been getting rounded up. When it comes to the election stuff, they already have it all. Okay? We need to start focusing on local. What you can do locally. Right? Because fundamentally and principally, the corporation was foreclosed on and terminated back in 2012 by Heather Ann Tucci Giraffe. And then Trump did the involuntary bankruptcy in June of 2020. So right now we're kind of in limbo. Right? This is back to Luther versus Borden and Texas v. White. That the president has the power to set up provisional government at the conclusion of the war. Why would Trump be doing treaties of peace with many other nations, countries, if we weren't at war? How would he be doing treaties of peace? And then, what's the war? The war that's been perpetuated, like the Constitution says. Oh, well, only to be supported by by Congress for no longer than 2 years. This is why they've kept saying, oh, war on drugs, war on this, war on that. Every 2 years, they would declare war on something to perpetuate these alleged powers until Trump come in. That's right. So as of June 2020, and this is what happened in January there of 2021, that became foreign occupied territory. That's why the military was activated. That's why the 3 layers of fencing went around the White House. That's why the military went in. That's why they went underground into these deep underground military bases. Okay? Remember, 2018, Trump instructed the military to start training for deep underground military warfare. Or deep underground warfare. What's been going on underground for a long time? Yeah. So, buckle up. Like I said before, I've said it years ago. This is what's going on. This is what's happening. It's been happening all around us, worldwide, for a long time. Now, Ukraine is a world hub. Okay, that's where everything kind of goes through the Ukraine. We're talking everything goes through there. Money, drugs, guns, men, women, and children. Human trafficking of all kinds that you can possibly think of. Buy, sell, trade, torture, for sex, whatever, satanic rituals, happy hunting, whatever it is, pretty much goes through Ukraine. All of it. As well as a lot of the biolabs. Right? That's some of the stuff that they've been destroying over there. So, that's what's been going on. And now it's getting down to the serious stuff. Right? London and Vatican, they've already been taken down. Remember when Trump walked in front of the Queen, inspected the military over there? Who does that? Think about that for a minute. That's when Trump went over there and said, you're done. And now that the Queen, it's been announced that the Queen has died. Look at the date. There's something about that date. So, yeah, I really think that there's several different nations, independent sovereign nations, like Russia, is working on the same thing under that worldwide executive order. Those involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption, worldwide. This is also part of the reason why all of those treaties of peace. This is why Trump walked in front of the Queen in England, London. The Vatican's been raided many times. Now that's where our souls and trusts have been stored, and all the ancient parchments and records of trusts, ancient trusts, biblical parchments and scrolls. Gold. Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of gold. Now I'll reiterate this again. Monkey Works has put it out there for quite a few, a little over a year now, right? Maybe two? I don't know. I'd have to go back and look, but he was showing all these planes on the radar there, going back and forth from the Vatican to many different places in the U.S. to Gitmo. Why would there be 200 to 300 passenger planes going to Gitmo from all around the world? There's your proof that something is going on. Again, we're not going to be told what the military, flat out what they are doing, right? They're not going to tell you that they executed so and so. They're not going to tell us, oh, well, we just picked up 232 people from over here and transported them over to Gitmo. No, we're not going to get that. It's a military operation. Has been even before Trump came into the picture. Remember, they were going to do a coup on Obama. So that's where we're at right now. The whole banking system's being taken down. For those that followed me before, I want to say it was in 2019 that 3 of the international banks in China were raided and taken down. Well, yeah, everything has to be undone that was created. You know, the Fed. Why do you think Trump moved the Federal Reserve back under the Department of Treasury? And the IRS under the Department of Treasury, and put the Secret Service in charge of oversight? Things have been happening, folks, for years. Pay attention to what's really going on, folks. Don't worry about any kind of Smith-Mund Act. Acts are not law. Rights are the law. And remember, the Constitution's supposed to be the law of the land. Law of the land literally means due process of law. And our rights are the law, which comes from the French word droit, meaning law or right. Real law, folks, not acts, not any acts, no acts. No acts of the legislature, no acts of Congress. And I'm going to reiterate a couple different things here. One, Trump's inauguration speech. I am putting the power back into the people's hands. That power is all political power, the right to alter, reform, or abolish anything at any time we deem it necessary. But you got to go through the legislature to do that, not the judicial branch, because the right dictates that we go to the legislature. Right? That's the law that dictates that we go to the legislature, not the judicial branch. That's the power of the people in the legislature, the legislative branch of government, where we file political lawsuits, not judicial ones. What was the other one? Dang it. I had another point I wanted to make on that, but dang it. Oh. Where do I have that? Let me pull that up real quick. Whoops, not that one. Okay. Oh, wait. So I don't end up doing all that again. So this is where I'm gonna end with this here. This points. With everything that we've just read there and talking about how the corporation's been terminated, foreclosed, bankrupt, insolvent, and we're kind of in limbo. Yeah, I know. They talked about, this 1776 commission. No, supposedly Joseph R. Biden put that. No, this is January of 2021 right here. Like Trump said, we're going back to 1776. That's before the Articles of Confederation. That is before the Constitution for the United States of America. 1776, the Revolutionary War, before the Constitutions. So, both of this President's Advisory 1776 Commission, this report here, and the report of the Commission on Unalienable Rights. Now, I've done a video on this one. We've read through a lot of this live. Or I read through it. I say we because I talk about all of us as in this together. But oh, that's weird. A little glitchy there. This here gives us an idea of what we're dealing with, right? Slavery, progressivism, fascism, communism, racism, and identity politics. Now, both of these are on my website, kirkslawcorner.com. Go to the library tab and download these. Read them and get a comprehension of where we're headed, what we're doing. Okay? So, you'll get a much better idea after reading this, the things that we're facing and how to combat this stuff with real law. And then this, I still have yet to read all of this report of the Commission on Unalienable Rights. But it's packed full of really good information and where we're headed and where we're headed back to, which ties in to those executive orders and especially the proclamations where I started. Leads right into this stuff right here and why we are where we are at right now. You know, all this stuff out there about, well, this is happening and that's happening. Really? Go outside. Claim and exercise your rights and let me know when any man deprives you of a fundamental right. Then we'll talk. Until then, none of that stuff is happening. It's fake. It's fake news. A lot of it's CGI. A lot of those people aren't even alive anymore. It's fake. Some of it's pre-recorded. They have body doubles. They have makeup. They have drones. You know, it's not real, folks. We're in limbo right now. We're supposed to be trying to live our lives here, but we need to get on a local level and start telling on these bad actors that are involved in serious human rights abuse and corruption. Because otherwise, nobody's going to know who the bad actors are unless we tell on them. Right? Got to have that cause of action. Because that's just how that works. You have to tell on them. They're not going to know which ones are the bad ones and which ones aren't. I mean, aside from the higher level stuff. They already got those guys, right? I'm talking about police officers, sheriffs and their deputies. I'm talking about your county commissioners, your city council, your mayors, your district health boards, your school boards, those kinds of people. Right? And don't go running out there and we're going to protest, because that doesn't work. And that's not even what a protest is. Protest is a formal written declaration, a remonstrance, declaring something unlawful is about to happen or something unlawful has already happened. And the key word is formal written. That's what a protest is. But again, our society is so dumbed down, we're using certain words and we don't even know what the heck they mean or what the heck they are. Knowledge is power, folks. You don't have this knowledge, you ain't got no power. Once you gain this knowledge and gain that power, we have to learn how to wield that power. You know, God tells us that our tongues are sharper than a double-edged sword. And I've said this before. Can I get any man to stand before me and let me wield a double-edged sword at him? I don't think I'll get any takers, not any serious ones anyway. And if so, I'd be freaked out. But imagine that our tongues are sharper than that double-edged sword. But what am I going to do with that a real double-edged sword if I don't even know how to wield that sucker? I ain't going to get very far. But you give me a man who knows how to wield a double-edged sword, he's going to annihilate some people. That's what I'm giving reference to is, one, having the sword, the knowledge, the power. It's in your hands. But how do you exercise it? How do you claim and exercise political power? How do you wield that double-edged sword? By putting it down on paper and filing it in proper form in the proper place that it needs to be filed. That's the key to all of this, right? The First Amendment is the right to petition government for the redress of grievances. It comes first. And I know reading from history, they say, we've petitioned, we have remonstrated, and only been met with repeated injuries. But Chris and I have showed you that it does work. Remember, Ector County, Texas, the entire Magistrate Division of Family Court was abolished. That's right, by going to Congress, the legislative branch. Over 1,250 cases bulk transferred to the district court, scheduled for dismissal December 20th, 2018. Now, I'm not sure how many got dismissed, but that court was taken down because of fraud. Because a judge and the sheriff were kind of involved in a little bit of child trafficking, human trafficking. And, CPS, all of that good stuff going on in there. And they got told on. They got investigated. They got busted. The place got shut down. There's no longer a magistrate division of family court in Ector County, Texas. And they were told to show up and be prepared to go to some sort of a hearing on December 20th of 2018, or their cases were being dismissed. Now, how many of those CPS cases, because these were all either divorce cases or CPS cases or domestic violence stuff, how many of those cases do you think those people showed up after they were all put on notice the reason why the Magistrate Division of Family Court in Ector County, Texas was abolished, bulk transferred to the district court because of corruption and fraud? How many of them you think showed up for court? I'm willing to bet not a whole lot. Only those that had like a legitimate divorce case. Just saying. So don't give me this crap that it doesn't work. Well, they're all corrupt. Do it. Follow the law. The right dictates that we go to the legislature for the redress of grievances. That's how a Republican form of government works. That's how we exercise political power. The right to alter, reform, or abolish anything at any time we deem it necessary is parliamentary practice from the rules of the common law. That's how that works. Has worked for 2,000 plus years that way. And then some. It's not new. And our right dictates. That's the law. It dictates that we go to the legislature for the redress of grievances. Not the judicial branch. This is a political argument. A political lawsuit. A petition is how we start a lawsuit. In the legislature. Not the judicial. I will keep reiterating that and hammering that home until people get it. Legislature. For the redress of grievances. Political. Not judicial. Luther versus Borden. For internal insurrection, we go to the legislature or the executive, which is why I showed you that executive order 13844, creating that joint task force on market integrity. It's what he's put in place for us to use to report these crimes. And again, I'm going to